Strategy 2 is all about educating yourself and then your clients. Let's go back to my story. I had two insurance policies. I had a group policy and I had an individual policy. As a C5, C6 quadriplegic, I'm lying in bed. We made two phone calls. We made one to the group carrier, one to the individual carrier. They both had 90-day waits. The group policy had a $5,000 a month benefit. The individual policy had $10,000 a monthly benefit. Both of them paid to age 65, and I was only 32. How many ways did each policy pay me? The group policy paid me handsomely. They paid me the $5,000 because I was totally disabled and unable to perform the substantial material duties of my job. Checks came in, just like that. What do you think happened the day when I went back to Chicago? I was still doing some rehab, but I stepped back into my office to say hello to my employees, to let them know that I'm coming back. 2 weeks later, I received a Dear John letter. Now, I have received a few of those in the past, but not from an insurance carrier. The insurance carrier said, "John, we're sorry to hear of your accident. It has come to our attention that you now have the ability to perform the substantial material duties of your job. Our physician has reviewed your attending physician statement and your medical file and has done a phone interview with you, and we believe because you have the ability to perform the substantial material duties of your job, we are terminating your claim." See, who's in control with the group plan? See, it's their doctor that's in control. They came out, they did the visit, they did the phone interview, they got my attending physician statements, but because I made the choice, and it was my choice to go back to my office, then they said, well, you're choosing to rehab versus choosing to work. That's their view. The individual product, on the other hand, paid me when I was totally disabled and unable to perform the substantial material duties of my job. I was totally disabled for a good period of time. They paid me when I was partially disabled and I went back to work, but I had a loss of income due to the disability. They paid me when I was presumptively disabled, meaning I had the loss of 2 arms or 2 legs. That was early on in the case. And they paid me when my recovery benefits. Recovery benefits are, I was fully recovered. I went back to work on a full-time basis. Even though I still had deficits on the right side of my body, I was still working full-time. But I had a loss of income due to the disability. The individual carrier continued to pay me. And lastly, and most importantly, and probably the one thing I would want you to get from this entire 40-minute presentation, is the rehabilitation benefits. I was paid rehabilitation benefits. When I got back to Chicago, I went to RIC, the world's greatest rehabilitation center, and I turned in my medical card. They looked at it, they ran it through the process, and they came back and said, "Mr. Nichols, you have a 50% copay with a maximum cap of $10,000. I'm a recovering C5, C6 quadriplegic. At that time, I was in my grandma walker. I was on my feet, but I was doing grandma walker. I was fatiguing every day. I was sleeping pert near 16 to 18 hours a day. I was eating 5, 6 times a day. I couldn't get enough food in me because my body was recovering, and I got $10,000 to rehab to try and get my life back together. When you become disabled, the one thing you want is you want your old life back. So I was willing to do anything and everything to try and get my old life back. I blew through the $10,000 as well as I blew through 2 physical therapists. 2 physical therapists would not work with me because I was on my feet and I was not in a wheelchair, so they thought that I had enough rehabilitation. I met a woman by the name of Cindy Rahm, who you'll hear about a little bit later. Cindy worked with me, and she worked with me for almost a year, and we went from the grandma walker to the canes. Actually, it was a double cane, and then we went to a single cane, and then eventually I came back on my own. My rehabilitation provision in the individual disability policy paid for my physical therapist to come to my home 2 hours a day, 5 days a week for over a year. It was over $300,000. They bought my stationary bike, my Stairmaster, the weights, and all the toys that we needed to work on this beautiful body that you see today. It is no doubt that my disability insurance policies were responsible, along with my hard work, to bringing me back to where I am today. That's the value of the disability insurance policy.